What's this dictionary doing here? I thought this was a math tutorial. Oh yeah, we've got some definitions we need to go over before we can get started. Definitions that'll help us add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. We're going to talk about factoring numbers, greatest common factor, and least common multiple. You ready to start?
Yeah.
Great. Let's start with factoring numbers. A factor, if you remember, is a number that's multiplied by another number. So factoring numbers means we're going to take a big number and find all of the factors that make it up. That's really going to help us when we start to add and subtract fractions, but that's later on.
Okay.
Okay, so prime factorization means finding all of the prime numbers that make up a bigger number. Let's do an example. Let's take 48. What are two numbers we can multiply together to get 48?
24 and 2?
24 and 2. Perfect. Is 2 a prime number?
Yeah.
I like to circle the prime numbers so I can keep track of them. What are two numbers you can multiply together to get 24?
12 and 2?
12 and 2. Okay, let's circle the 2. Two numbers you can multiply together to get 12?
6 and 2?
6 and 2. And lastly, two numbers we can multiply to get 6.
3 and 2?
3 and 2. All done. So prime factorization means taking your number, factoring it out until you only have prime numbers. Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Great. Let's talk about greatest common factor. We also call him GCF. The greatest common factor is the biggest number that's a factor of the two numbers we started with. Let's start with 30 and 42. Two numbers you can multiply together to get 30?
15 and 2?
15 and 2. We're going to circle our 2. Two numbers we can multiply together to get 15.
3 and 5?
3 and 5. Are those both prime numbers?
Yeah.
Great. Two numbers we can multiply together to get 42.
21 and 2?
21 and 2. Two numbers we can multiply together to get 21.
7 and 3?
7 and 3. Both prime numbers. Do you see any numbers that are in both lists?
2 and 3?
2 and 3 are our common factors. To get the greatest common factor, we multiply all of our common factors together. So we have 2 times 3. What's 2 times 3?
6.
6. So 6 is our greatest common factor.
Or GCF?
Or GCF. Perfect. Last up, least common multiple. To find the least common multiple, you want to find the smallest number that's a multiple of the two numbers you've started with. Let's start with 4 and 6. What's 4 times 1?
4.
And 4 times 2?
8.
And 4 times 3?
12.
12. And 4 times 4?
16.
4 times 5?
20.
And 4 times 6?
24.
Wonderful. Let's move on to 6. What's 6 times 1?
6.
6 times 2?
12.
6 times 3?
18.
And 6 times 4?
24.
Do you see any numbers that are common to both lists?
12 and 24.
24. So we have two common multiples. What's going to be our LCM, or our least common multiple?
12.
12. And we know that because that's the smallest one in both lists. So the three terms we talked about today were factoring numbers, greatest common factor, and least common multiple. You ready to go out and tackle some math problems?
Yeah.
Good job. Go for it.